Okay, it's moving now.
I'm Wayne Blackwell, President of the Washington County Historical Society for 1992, and today our program is the first in a series on public law enforcement and officials in Washington County. And we have the game warden of Washington County and former game wardens in Washington County to discuss events in their lives and in their work, and we'll turn it over to them at this time. I guess everyone knows everyone, don't they? Okay, if you will, just go down and give your name, and then we'll come back, and I want you to start, maybe Billy, if you'll start and tell something about who your background, where you was born and everything, and just tie us in with your work, and then we'll just move from one to the other and discuss it as you want to discuss.
First thing you want to do is your name, and then go down and
Right.
list them.
And how many years you worked?
My name is William Calvin Richardson, known as Billy.
Here's Henson.
Stand back, Daniel.
W.A. Knight.
Okay, Billy, if you'll tell us something about how many years you've worked in it and something about your background.
Well, I was born and raised in Seaboard. Worked as far as farming with cattle, and just later went to work in construction work. And then from there to working with the conservation department. I worked with them for 9 years.
Okay, Mr. Henson?
I started working for the state in 1935. I didn't ask for the job. I was called to Montgomery at least 3 times and offered the job, and I didn't want it. But I finally accepted it. And 35 years later, I retired. Part of it was pleasure. It's pretty hard work at times. Lost a lot of sleep. Missed a lot of meals, but I made up for it.
Couple times.
And you meet the best people out there anyway. Hoodlums, crooks don't have time to hunt and fish anyway. The best people hunt and fish. And I guess I could say I enjoyed working for the state. I liked it more and more. The longer I stayed on, the better I liked it. I met a lot of people. A lot of people know me better than I know them. I guess they have reason to remember me. But anyway, that's,
Okay, Glenn?
that ought to be enough.
I was raised in Brewton, Alabama, and went to work with the Conservation Department in 1972, and I've been working a little over 20 years. Been here in Washington County for a little over 6 years now.
I was born and raised at Seaboard, wide place in the road, but home. And I went to work in the state in 1951. I worked for them for 30 years. I worked in 1982, I believe it was. And I retired out of it. And would you like me to tell a few things that might have happened?
Yes, if you would, some of the more interesting.
One night, one thing real funny you would enjoy, I was working, Donnie Stallworth was with me. We was watching the car down on 45 one night, and he shot down the side of the overpass. So by him going south, we figured he was going to go on south, so I eased on down and on him without any lights. And they shot twice, we were looking at him, but instead of that, he turned around and started back, but I blocked him. Got him stopped. 2 fellas got out of a brand new Bronco and come to us. So we got a little deal there. Would you like to have him? I said, let's look at him a little bit. And what they're doing, they missed that deal. And he got that fence out there and they caught him. Wasn't a scratch on the deal, but they caught him, and there was 3 of those men, and that in the back seat, they just grabbed him and went there and got in the Bronco with him, and when I opened that door and threw that light in, that fella had to him a bolt lock hold on that deer, and that deer's ear was standing straight out, just trembling over looking at that light. You know, if you could see that, why I didn't make a picture of that, I don't know. I said, well, Cap, you got him. And she said, yes, I don't know what to do with him. So he knew if he turned him loose in that Bronco, what was going to happen. And another thing happened, Lonnie Williams, he used to have the flying squad. And he was down here, a bunch of them, usually where they was having a good bit of night hunt and so forth. They'd send them down, you know, in different counties, you know. So Lonnie come down here one weekend, and we was working down on 1745 over in the county. And he was sitting over on 17, he told me a car was going back in the woods in there. About 2 o'clock in the morning, I said, he ain't got no business in there. I said, follow him in there. So he went on him without the lights, we followed him. So he was telling me everywhere he was going, you know, and I said, just keep on him. I said, stay on him. So directly he got back over there, right this side of Blockwood, and he turned on a little road down there. He told me right how the curve was. I said, it's dead end. I said, just stay on him. And he said, they pulled out the woods here and said, I'm stopped. And he says, I hear a beating down there. I said, just get out and ease down and see what you're doing. In a few minutes, he come back to me and said, they got a safe down there trying to beat open down there. So they had robbed this place in Mobile, put that safe in the back of the car and brought it up here, and they went way back in the woods. And they were, well, it hadn't been for him, you couldn't have heard it. I heard him 4 or 5 miles there. But anyhow, there was 4 of them in the car, and they had about 2 or 3 cases of whiskey, wine, beer, plus that safe. They called Pritchett, they didn't know in the back, but next morning, they were not showing up.
Did y'all arrest them?
Yes, we brought them on in. Judson Sullivan was sheriff back in time.
Did y'all have a lot of cooperation with the city and county police, other than
Yeah.
yourselves?
We had, back when William, well, I seen one here, if it hadn't been for William sending the car down, I wouldn't have no help. I mean, there was short men too, you just didn't have no help. And he sent the car down there pretty well every night. He'd have a car down there. And it was paying off every night, like we was catching the car. So. But, of course, we helped him return to, what you like to say. Or any other time they had a bank rob or something, we was out in with them, or somebody was lost. I remember for one instant, William right here when he was policing here in Charlotte. He had a bootlegger bringing whiskey in over here in the quarters over here. And every time he'd check on William's car, that city car, if it was there, he'd go on. But if it wasn't there, he wouldn't go. So one night I picked William up. We was back over in the quarters about 2 o'clock, sure enough, he ain't coming. He had a load of it. We took in after him and he wound up in Yellow Pine. That's where we got him over there. Running in the back of the field over there where we got him. I think he had 15 gallons of moonshine. I don't know how many cases of beer, whiskey, wine. And we brought him back and wound him up for a while. Just like I said, we swapped that work back and forth.
Did y'all used to find many stills back when they were doing a lot of moonshining and stumble on them in the woods?
Yeah, they found a good many of them, but it's getting a little bit scarce and scarcer over the years. I mean, it's got really kind of hard. Well, there's just not as much of it.
Mr. Henson, what can you tell us some things that happened to you?
You want something humorous?
Yes.
One night there were some fellas in a car headed north on Highway 43. And they stopped right in front of Mr. Harrell's place and shot him. But I didn't give them time to get the deer. I got on them. And we didn't get the deer, but they killed him. And it was freezing weather. And the next night, there was another carload came up there, and the deer standing aside the road, and they shot him, or shot at it, missed it. They thought they killed it. They just got out to go out there and get it. And they found this when the folks had killed the night before. And they came dragging it up there to the car, just as stiff as a board.
Oh.
But about the funny thing happened though, when they shoot one and put a man out to get it, and the man with the car drives off. We'd follow him, but we'd turn around before he did and come back, and this man out with the deer out to get the deer, think it was a man coming back to pick him up. And just step out and open the door and he'd dive in there.
Ooh.
That happened several different times.
All right, question.
It was funny
Yes.
to us, but I don't think it's so funny to them.
Mr. Pearson has a question.
Mr. Henson, Mr. Richardson, were y'all not, you conservation officers, were you not called to Birmingham one time by the governor in connection with the integration problem? When all the conservation.
Yeah, I think just about every game warden in Alabama was up there at that time.
But you had no trouble, did you?
I didn't. I never did find out exactly what they had me up there for.
With all of y'all up there, where did you spend the night? Where did y'all?
We
sit?
stayed in the hotel. We had shifts. Some of them had a night shift and some day shift. But I always had a day shift. We had good hotel rooms to stay. And, but we had a certain area to patrol during the day, and we'd stay out there 8 hours.
Well, how many days did y'all stay up there
I don't know, must have been several weeks.
that night? Well, Governor Wallace is the one called y'all up there, wasn't he?
It was in '63. He was good.
Mr. Billy, can you tell us some things that happened to you?
Well, one thing comes to mind on Sunday night, if I recall, just what year I don't remember, but W.E. night there and myself, I know it was Mr. Henson's brother here, Robert Henson. Well, who else was with us that night? We got that record down there.
Hold on, I remember, yeah, I don't see it.
Anyhow, it was on 17 highway, and one car was following the other one, just going out there to work. We passed the wrecker right there below Tibby, just below Grady Gibbons, easing along. We went on down around Deer Park. Later on, that couple of hours later, I moved back up on 17. We had been down 45, and I moved back up on 17. And I heard a gun way up the road. I passed it on to Monk. I said, I'm going up there. He said, I'll go with you. So we moved back up close to Tibby. And I stopped off at what is known as the Warren Open Road. Monk said, I'll go on up toward Tibby. For that, so he did. In a few minutes, he called me and told me, says, yeah, that wrecker we passed a while ago, pulling that same automobile coming down the road. Well, he come easing down, he got right in front of me and turned around and headed back. I told him, I said, what's fun? He's coming back up there. Well, I think he went back up and turned around right close to where W.A. was. In a few minutes, he came back down. He got right there about 200 yards to me, he stopped and shot. And he heard him shoot. So yeah, he come right on and I blocked it, I reckon stopped him. And he missed the deer, or at least he didn't get it. But it was no telling that the amount of blood it was on the back of that record. It couldn't have been from less than 8 or 10 deer anyhow, because it was just, it was a coat of it that thick and done, it just shake whenever you move that record, it come off on that. Of course, what we think, and which had to happen, was some other vehicle was there when he killed one, and they put it in a car, a truck, and that record, just like we drove by it, him easing along the first time, we didn't even suspicion that record working, but that was about 3 hours later, when we caught him right in the same area, still pulling that same automobile, and he was from Mobile. As one night, Mr. Henson's brother here, myself, then up on 56 Highway. We was headed back home, we got out there on the Hawthorne Road. We met a car eating along, which that was what we suspicioned of it being of a night on it. It was well after midnight. So quick as we got out of sight, we turned around to follow it, without any lights, of course. We got around there to what we call Dunham Hill, and of course we wasn't in sight of no lights, and what we knew we should have been at the speed of driving. We stopped, and we realized the car was parked over there on the side of the road. We eased up that side of it. Robert Henson got out and walked there to look in it. There's nobody in it. And just see a bunch of paper bags and stacked up. So I walked over there and we discovered it was whiskey. Fella didn't have any back seat in that car, and it was stacked in the front floorboard, some on the front seat, and the back of it up to the windows. And when we got the trunk open, with Charles and the sheriff come down, we got the trunk open. Well, that car had 235 one-gallon jugs full of whiskey in it. It was 175 gallons in the front and back seat. It was 65 gallons in the trunk. So you run into all kind of things out there.
What happened to the driver?
Well, he ran, and he was a colored fellow. But of course, we didn't know that at that time. We suspicioned. I went on over there, at least I stayed there. Robert taken my car and went over to Deerhead. A few minutes, a car run up and stopped. Robert turned the lights on him, he pulled out down the road. So Robert come back over where I was at. So I told him, you stay here and I'll go back over there. And I went over there and drove down the road. And he'd got down close to McIntosh. I realized there was a car turning around now, so I followed him back up the road. And when he seen me following, he went to running, and I run him down and got him stopped. It was a white man. He had the spare tire of that Chrysler in the back of that 58 Ford. A few barrel hooks. So I brought him on over there to where the whiskey was, and when Sheriff Locke got there, he sent him to Chatham, and we kept that car, which they later sold both of them automobiles here in Chatham. And about daylight, we picked the colored fella up down there right above St. Regis, that side of the fence. We come easing down the road, and he was standing over that side of the fence. It was just getting daylight, and he went to flagging, and we stopped, and he run there and got the car. The car jumped in him and Claylock's arms.
Just about having any trouble up at Birmingham, they called us after they bombed that church up there. It was maybe 2 or 3 days before we went up there when they bombed that church. And I looked at the church, there was a hole in there. You drive a car in there.
Did it kill 3 colored girls?
It killed, was it 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, that was right down in the colored territory. I believe it was on 16th.
Glenn, can you tell us something?
Anyway,
Well, we always run across different situations every year. Of course, these guys, Billy and Monk and I, we still work together from time to time. And one of the most humorous things I can remember, Billy and I were working together 2 or 3 years ago. And down there on 43, I guess it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, traffic kind of died down, a lot of deer on the road. Car pulled down below us there and shot. And we eased out in my truck with the lights off and everything. And he turned around a little bit too quick, and we just fell in behind him. And we got a little bit too close to him. He decided he'd stop. And just in front of me there, he stopped and let one man out. And I still had my lights off, but we had already got too close to him and felt like we might go ahead and stop the car. But anyway, they let one man out right where they'd shot the deer. And went on up the road there, so Billy and I decided we'd just go ahead and stop him. And we stopped him. And the guy on Billy's side jumped out and ran, and Billy tried to run after him, and that's not your leg there.
Yeah.
So we had this car and had my truck and all piled up there and had one in the woods down in one place, and we knew I had one down the road there that gotten out, and we could see the deer when we came by in their headlights. And of course, the guy that got out, we were so close on him that he saw us when we came by. So Billy stayed there with the ones we had in there, the state truck and everything. So I got the boy that was driving that car and put him in the driver's side, and I got in the back seat in their car. And I said, let's go back down here and pick up your buddy. And he kept denying that nobody else, was with him. And I said, well, we saw the man get out. So I got in the back seat with him, and he pulled up about 100 yards down there where the deer was laying. And of course, we saw the deer, in the car lights. We knew it was dead, and knew where the guy got out at. And pulled up there about 100 yards. And I said, no, don't stop here. Pull on down there where the deer is, where your buddy got out. Finally, he went on down there and stopped. And I told him, I said, blink your lights or toot your horn. And so he blew his horn, and all at once here, the guy come running out of the woods and jumped in the passenger side, and I was sitting in the back, he could see, and he told the driver, said, man, get out of here, the gang warden's right behind you. I said, yeah, he sure is. And we finally ended up getting all of them. The guy that ran off, jumped out of the car and ran from us. We got him a couple of days later because he left his headlight and everything in there with his name and address and everything else on it. So we got him, and we ended up getting convictions and everything on all of it. We got a deer too. But anyway, we still enjoy working together. We work together quite a bit.
How can Mr. Billy run? Pretty good.
Well, back then, Billy could run pretty good. He'd get back like I am right now, I think, but Billy could run pretty good.
What is probably the most dangerous thing you've gotten into? Or Mr. Henson, go ahead.
One night I was parked down there on Highway 43, and I heard a gun shoot west of me on the Hawthorne Road. And I got out of my hiding place where I could see, and after a while the car came in Highway 43 and headed north. And I just pulled on the back of him, pulled my lights off, and stopped him. I said, that you boys shot out there? There was two of them in there. He said, yes, sir, we shot at a deer, but we missed it. And about that time, that old road came to in the back of the trunk of that car. And the old boy jumped up and he said, my God.
Oh,
I have a question.
yes, sir.
Y'all, I don't know whether you're doing it for a joke or whether it was a procedure. You had a mounted deer head with glass eyes in suspicious places, and a light shining on it, looked like a real deer. Did you have many of those shot?
I put one out there right just across the road from Slade's Gate one night, and just did get out of the way. He busted with buckshot. Fell out of Baldwin County. I don't remember his name. And he shot it down. And I don't know whether I took him back to the judge or let him sign a bond. But anyway, when I got back there and got kind of settled down, I went to set my bait up again, and the other fella drove up and stopped. He didn't shoot, but I hollered at him. I couldn't get out of the way. So I never was cool with it anymore. But it worked.
I set one up one time, and wasn't thinking about how I was gonna stop the vehicle. The sheriff here in this county, it was before he got to be sheriff, was with me. I put my car about 200 yards over out there and set it up across the road, and was sitting at an intersection. Fella drove up and shot it, just kept shooting it with a .22 rifle. He couldn't knock it down, and I couldn't get it down because didn't have nothing tied to it. I walked up and pulled the car door open and took my pistol in that fella's side and called him down there. Me and put him in the vehicle.
Oh. Did y'all have any problems with entrapment in the past with that, or has that always held up?
I got a conviction on that.
Glenn, have you ever done that?
We still use decoys and all, and 20 years ago, Supreme Court, we had to use all these big law terms and all that stuff. Now, Supreme Court ruled that we couldn't use it for a long time. And they claimed that it was entrapment. And after time went on, there was so many cases brought up and everything over the nation and all, they made a new ruling and ruled that it was not entrapment because the man was intending to violate the law when he shot it. So it was already used again. So now we've got decoys now fixed up electronically. It's got a control in it like one of these remote control, radio controlled aircraft. And we can set it out in the woods and get it 200 yards away from it and take our little control. We can make his head turn, his tail wag, or whatever. And in some cases, depending on how it's built and everything, if somebody shoots it, you can mash another button and it'll fall. And over here in Wilcox County, I've got a friend of mine that has caught a guy over there 3 different times shooting the same decoy. And I had caught the guy back years and years ago over in Bruton. I know him twice. And there's no telling how many times that same guy now has shot that same decoy. But we have to pay for these things ourselves, and it costs about $500 having one built. It takes sometime 9 or 10 months to get one built. Sometimes we put together money on our own and buy it, and sometimes these hunting clubs will make a donation to us and help us buy one. It's a good thing to use sometimes when you're out and not any deer moving, anything like that. You got to stay out there, so we put it where we can.
With the shooting, it hurt it?
It's just
We'll
about
tear it
shot
up.
it all to pieces. A lot of times we'll have to take it and it's got a styrofoam form inside of it, and it's just covered with a deer hide. And we have to get sometimes we have to take a deer hide and recover it. But it gets a lot of punishment.
Mr. Knight, have you ever been involved with that?
Yes, but what we had was more control. The one I had was fixed with the neck and head and all. On the boom mount, you just stick it down there and push it, and it shoot. But one night, Donnie Stallworth, which I knew you all know of, he used to feed deer over there pretty good, and they just poured out the back of the truck for maybe a quarter of a mile. And them deer, he's honest, you got to slow up, keep hitting one, maybe we get out of the road. And somebody went over and they got shooting the deer, we found where he's feeding, they got shooting, kill him over there. So one evening they called me over there, and boy went down in there, like got down in there, and he had to leave. Donnie was with me, Donnie Stallworth. And this fella had a little 2-cell light. You got to strike a match, see if it's working, to see if it's burning. But anyhow, we stayed there till 8 o'clock at night. And that little road wasn't as wide as this table was long, just a little trail. And I heard something coming about 8 o'clock at night. He said, bling, 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 like metal hitting. I couldn't figure what in the world was that. And then I could hear it walking. They got up about like the end of this table to me. And I threw that little light on. Told him to hold it. Man, he threw a .243 rifle on me for wide open control. He said, you hold it. But anyhow, we had a pretty good discussion there. And he didn't know Donnie was on the other side of the road. Donnie had one of these old long barrel 30 M1 pistols, shoots a 30 M1 cartridge. He's single action. I mean, it's one of these single action. They click 3 times. The cartridge. Barrel about this long one. Eventually, I tried to talk to this old boy, but I didn't try to frustrate him, because I didn't want to excite him, but I knew if he pulled that trigger on purpose or accidental, I was going to be just as big. But anyhow, eventually he told me, he said, just get ahead of me and start walking. About that time, he hadn't seen Donnie. I heard Donnie when he pulled that hammer back on that old pistol. And I could see just enough that little flashlight glaring when he leveled down on him. He said, no, Cap, the best thing you do is just lay that rifle down. But he hadn't seen him when he went to turn him to look. See who said that. He pulled that rifle off me about that much. When he did, I made a high dive for him already. And I got that rifle. You can believe that. I broke the rifle loose from him. But anyhow, I carried him out and brought him up in jail. I asked him if he ever been caught before. And he said, yes, sir, I've been caught one time before. I said, who caught you? He said, it seemed like to me that fellow's name was Knight. I said, how long ago would that been? He said, about 10 years ago. I said, where'd he catch you at? he said, deer park. And the reason I remember this very clearly, this girl, he had a car just exactly like mine, the same, my personal car. The same model and everything, except one of his taillights, about half the limb was out and it was white. And he shot this deer down there that night, but it was 15 years ago what he was. He shot that deer and I come down there, I stopped that girl on over the hill over there. And I got talking to her, I said, hey, you got somebody out over there? And she said, yes. See, there was one man sitting up front with her, but I could tell there'd been somebody in that back seat. And so I done like he's talking about, I just parked my car over and got the back seat with her in the south of it. She drove up the road that first time, she blinked the light down, he wouldn't come out. But the next pass she made down through, blinked the light, here he come out a little dim light. She stopped. He couldn't get the back door. I just reached over and unlatched it. He bailed up in there with me. He said, man, let's go. He said, this place is full of them. And I said, pardon, did you have any luck? He looked over at me. That fella, he sat there for 2 minutes. He wouldn't open the door. He wasn't true. That fella, he was mentally off. I think he had jumped on somebody that was just about killed him. About a year or two before that. He was way off. He didn't come back over here. I think he got 5 years suspended sentence out of it. He didn't come back over here. I have never seen him back over here.
Was he from Washington County?
He was really born and raised right down there, just above Donnieville, about 2 miles, exactly where he was born and raised. And me and Billy one night, Williams wasn't, I believe, that night. We killed one down at the Y. We wound up with him in downtown Leesburg, Mississippi.
I started off running, and then you and William taking me.
We wound up with him in downtown Leesburg. That's where we got him at.
One of them run, we got one.
One of them went out through some houses down there, and William, he got out, took asked him, you know how slow William is. But anyhow, he stayed with him about 20 minutes. But I understood that fella stayed in a little pond out there about daylight that morning before he ever come out of it. So he had the gun to get out, but the deer almost still in the car. We got the other fella and brought him back.
Do y'all have the authority to arrest in Mississippi?
As long as you're in pursuit, but you also have a federal permission. But as long as you're in pursuit, one and don't go too far.
Oh, you can see it.
Don't go too far. Federal agents told me, if you run 150 or 60 miles over, they just turn him over to them. But he said, if you're not that forward, they said, just go ahead and hand him how you want. We've always brought him back. I run one to Loosedale, back in the 80s, me and John, I believe it was, John Bumpers. We got over there, we called for a roadblock, we ain't seen nobody yet. We didn't get the docket room to call for a roadblock. And he got there at the Loosedale, he made him a circle around that bank, here he come back. Right on, we still ain't seen nobody. We got back in the Dog River Bridge, you went across that bridge there, he threw that deer over the side rail of that bridge, and he hit that side of the bridge, that deer fell back in the road, come back on the bridge. And but then Donnie, he was behind us, and the big old Lester was behind us. We told him to stop and get that deer, which he just threw out. And he got right into 6 mile across that golf course, just slid it to a stop and bailed out and get him. We got one of them that night, and the next day we got the other one. They go to the extreme for a little old thing like a deer. Tell one on Mr. Dave, I just thought about when we had Robert in, we'd get some remarks.
Yeah, Robert, listen, he's one always be here.
But anyhow, one night, me and Robert was over there around Sunflower, going up 43 over there. It's kind of like that night. We were eating up through there without the lights. And you know how they'll paint fix these spots on the road, you know, they fix a place twice long as this table, they'll quit, but there'll be a dark spot there. I was going up through there. We knew Mr. Dave was up there somewhere on up above there. We hadn't heard nothing from him lately. We hadn't said nothing. We were going up through there just cruising along pretty good without the lights. And all of a sudden I seen one of the spots. I said, now that just may not be a spot. So I got on my side, well on my side. About that time, boom, I met a car. I didn't say nothing. The rest of Mr. Dave said, was that you? Robert, I tell that Robert, I laughed.
Oh. Well, what's the most dangerous situation you ever got into?
You want me to tell it?
Yeah.
When we first started to work, we had a county court, at least when I started working for the state, and we had justices of the peace. They handled all of our cases, practically all of them. and we'd catch them. And instead of writing them up, we'd take them to the judge and let them pay off right then, and it was over with. Wasn't much of a fine, only $25 fine, but it hurt them then. That was just after the Big Depression. And after that, it didn't get, the night hunting didn't get so bad until after they opened up the shipyard in Mobile. They started at it regularly every night when they changed shifts, that midnight shift. You could just figure around 1 to 2 o'clock, they would open up on that road. I caught them, stopped the car, load of them. People writing them up, getting their names and their address. And somebody else would shoot one down the road from me. They said, why don't you go get him? I said, I can't leave him. I called him in his 15 in one night down there. And talking about the courts, if I was working now, I'd rather have the JPs. Because you can get it over with. Now you got to wait till the court date, and you give them time to study about it, and hire them a lawyer and all this stuff. And if you fight a game law case, you almost beat it. It's hard to get a jury to convict a man.
What was the most dangerous situation you've been into?
Most dangerous? Well, the man started on me with a knife about that long one day, and I thought I was in a dangerous position. But I was standing by the door of my car, and my pistol was lying on the seat right next to me. I just reached and got it like that. I said, you stop right where you are. He stopped. He said, you got a gun? I said, yes. You make one more step, I'll kill you. He turned around and walked off. I often wondered how it would feel to shoot a man, and it wouldn't have been any more to me then than it would shoot a rattlesnake. I wasn't nervous, but I'm glad it didn't happen.
Did any of you ever have to shoot anyone? Did any of you ever have to shoot anyone, any of the game wardens in the county?
No, I never did. I don't think the rest of it. I never heard of it.
Been shot at, but never had a chance to shoot back.
Tell us about getting shot at.
I was working over Connecticut County before I moved over here. I got a call one night out west of town there, there's some night hunting going on there. I went out there and the truck spotlight way back behind the field, one way in and one way out. I knew they had to come out right close to where I was going to set up, so I just pulled back in the woods right there close to the road, and they came out on the highway with the lights on. And when they pulled out on the highway, well, I just pulled in behind them with my lights on. And as soon as I got in behind them, I flipped my lights on, turned my blue light on. And when I flipped my lights on, of course, the two had one in the middle and one in the passenger, one driver, brand new Ford pickup truck. And when I turned my blue light on, they just took off. And after a few miles down the road, the one in the passenger seat started climbing out with a .270 rifle, and I walked it about 3 or 4 feet off the bunker at that time. And I was trying to operate 2 radios, one to call the troopers to set up a roadblock, one to call the conservation officers.
Going how fast?
About 100 miles an hour. That's as fast as that old truck would go. And he had climbed out and started shooting at me. And I don't know if he was trying to shoot my tires out or shoot me or not. But anyway, I found the best position I could get on the truck to keep from getting shot was right up by him. And every time I made a car, I'd have to drop back, he'd shoot. I'd try to get back up by him, and a couple of times I tried to run him off the road. And every time I'd get in a position where I could do something, I'd leave the car and have to drop back, and he'd shoot. And I kept dodging the operating radios and trying to keep it between the ditches. And I finally got to the point where I thought I could get up by him, and I was just going to shoot the driver. After all this happened, I don't know, I ran about 35 miles and finally got a roadblock set up and everything. And by the time we got there, it was probably 50 officers around there. And I never did get to shoot back, but I didn't really get nervous as long as everything was going on, but when it was all over with, and we got them to jail and everything, I got kind of nervous about it.
Did you get to say your piece to them?
I got single piece, so we got a little time on it.
Y'all ever get any fist fights?
I've gotten some wrestling matches, but never had, I guess now I'm getting too old to fight, it's too rough on clothes, that's the reason I have to wear it with them, I guess.
What kind of penalty, for example, where somebody puts a rifle on you, or in the case where they actually shot at you, what kind of penalty came out of that?
That's first degree assault, it called for 2 to 20 years, and they got 5 years suspended sentence. Believe it or not, I have actually seen fines collected in court for shooting a deer higher than what you would get for assault and conservation.
Why did y'all do it? That's what I see you wondered.
Well, I started this job a little over 20 years ago because I love the woods, and I believed that's what I was doing. And I loved to hunt and fish back then. Of course, nobody ever told me that I never would get a chance to hunt and fish, but I enjoyed it. You have to believe in what you do.
Y'all ever caught any women night hunting? Or is it usually always men?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Billy, did you ever shoot Mr. Knight?
No, sir.
I heard her tell you one time that something about your gun going off and y'all were whipping or had an end to it, or can you tell us about that?
I believe my boy did that. No, that was me, I was, and, I got used because I ain't the only one that'll help to do that. But anytime you get backed up in the corner, you use a gun for a club. If you don't keep your hand on that trigger, when you hit, it's gonna bounce, have a tendency to bounce out of your hand, you're gonna grab it, and when you do that thing going on. What he referred to one night down there before I did part, had them stop down there, a bunch of them out of Central got where they come up there. I think they figured they owned that place when they come up there, but anyhow, got him stopped down there. He got a pretty wide mouth, got a little bit out of control, and I went to put my hand on him, and he shoved it back, or either pushed it back, I don't know which one he did. I stood up, going back, like I should, got slapped, I got in the car, but I reached and got that pistol, put over hand, and he went off, hit him in the arm. I mean, but that's a situation now,
Yeah.
that you can get into. Now, we used to, old man Durr used to work for us over in Cullen County.
Let me get a pic.
He was the chief of police at Andalusia. And he had a colored fellow there one night. I think he's been chief of police around 18 years. And he had a colored fellow there, he was drinking, he was trying to get him upstairs in jail. He wouldn't go with him. He said, son, boy, said, I had that old long barrel pistol, said, I done rascaled him enough, said, I just pulled it out and wrapped him over the head with it, said, by the time I hit him, it went off. And he said, he drug me up them stairs. No, that was an accident that was unavoidable, and,
It did hit you in the arm, though.
he hit me there in the arm, come out right there. I had just walked there, there was another one of the men, it was in that car, it was another fellow with us, and of course, he was a lot younger than I was, and, he was gonna jump on him. And I walked around the other side where Monk and was walked between him and that fellow, and to get that stopped. And I was standing direct in front of Monk when this happened. And it was something that Monk wouldn't have done for nothing in the world. It was just an unavoidable accident. And I was lucky to not be hurt any worse than I was, and I don't think I was hurt a bit worse than Monk was. Because, it went pretty hard against him, I could tell that, talking to him. Of course, he and I are first cousins anyhow. I tell you what, I just know to tell you one thing about it, if you ever go to hit anybody with anything, you better just grab the stock of it. You sure better not put your finger on the trigger.
Well, it sure go off. I tell you what, I have stopped cars, pulled upside up and stop them. They be trying to unload the gun, then go over right through the top of the car. I had two of them that day. They blow a hole that big right through the top of the car.
Well, all of your stories have been about enforcing laws with deer hunters. What about some other things? Maybe turkeys or fish or endangered species like gophers or something like that?
Well, Mr. Frank Parker, you see everything been made for love with me on that, for that dude, but, I tell you what, I don't know what.
We had a size limit on fish when I first started working for the state. I caught a few of them that had the undersized fish in their pockets.
Oh.
You talk about the endangered species, we've got gophers on the endangered species. From time to time, we run across a situation like this. And believe it or not, it's a federal offense. We just had one tried in New Orleans, I believe, just 2 or 3 months ago in the federal district court over there, and I think they fined him $15,000 for having 3 gophers in possession. This is a change in time.
Have y'all ever had any dealings with bears or anyone shooting bears since you've been working in the county?
Yeah, I have. We've had some bear hunters in the county.
I made a couple of cases on killing bear.
Do we still have some in the county, you think? Do we still have bears in Washington County?
One occasion. If anybody puts some beehives out in the woods, they'll fly out.
That's what happened. I think Washington County is about the only county in the state that has a native population of bears, Washington, North Mobile County. And it's getting smaller every day.
Coach Blackwell, in my work of fooling with deer hunters at night, I've caught 3 sets of brothers, 3 different times. Be 3 of them, and I've caught them 3 different times. Mr. Robert Henson happened to be with me on every occasion.
Oh.
That's something you don't do often, to catch 3 brothers together, but I've had it happen to me 3 times.
What was your most dangerous incident? Besides the one we just talked about?
I don't know when I was taking some of them wild rides at night, I'd be jumped in the back with a gun. I got into a round down at Deer Park the first year I ever worked on it, Mr. Dave here. And it was 2 men and 2 women. It was both of them's wives. There was 2 pairs, man and his wife. And one of them was a local family. And when I walked up to the car, I got a lady was driving out of the car, and I got a man from over Monroe County out of the car. And his wife, well, the fellow used to be marshal here in town, was with me, Lawrence Odom. I walked around on the other side of the car. He locked the door and would have left Lawrence open it. And I walked there, and the window was down, and I reached in there and grabbed the latch and pulled it up. And when I did, he tried to roll the window up, and I caught the window and got the car open. And when I opened the door, he jobbed me with it. He kind of stood up and jobbed me with a shotgun right in the stomach. He did. I knocked him down and grabbed him. And before I knew what had happened, his wife had ran in the house, and Lawrence was standing around there. She grabbed the rifle and run there and jobbed me in the back with it. And eventually, Lawrence made her put it down, and I told him to go put both the guns in my car. When I got there to the car, after I got handcuffs on the man I had down, there was a double-barrel shotgun he jobbed me with. It had 2 number 1 buckshot in it, and it was an old hammered gun, and both hammers was pulled back on it. And that rifle had 16 long rifle hollow points in it, and the safety was knocked off on it. And she jobbed me 2 or 3 times in the back before Lawrence got to stop. Told me to turn him loose, but it wasn't use to turn him loose, get one on both sides of it, run through your back.
What kind of training did y'all have when you went in? Was there any? Were there any training?
Not at the time that I went on, it wasn't. We went through some training later on as far as for shooting and such as that. There wasn't any training that I knew of.
I didn't have any.
Where'd y'all learn the law?
Huh?
Where did you learn the law?
We already knew it. Well enough to handle it. They gave us a book, and we get these regulations every year, and every time the legislature meets, they'd come out with, if they made it a new law, they'd come out with a book. And
When did they start?
Memorize. Well, I knew the law. But they didn't have anything like going to school when I started. That started maybe 5 or 6 years after I was in there. I've been to school, but I didn't learn anything.
Do you know when they had the first game wardens in Alabama or Washington County, when it started?
They had some before I started. Yeah, they had.
When did it start, do you know?
They had Flip Dumas and Glover, Bill Glover, and Dick Line. Dick Line was in before I was. I took his place. He went on the highway patrol. I think he had a lot to do with them calling me up to Montgomery.
What was the pay when you started?
$100.
Did they furnish your gas?
Huh?
Did they furnish your gas?
No, they gave me $51 a month for the use of my car. I had to furnish my car.
What about your gun?
What?
Did they furnish your gun?
No, I didn't furnish anything.
Has violations, have they increased, or when was the largest period of violations?
They increased, well, I'd say along and after I'd been on some 5 or 6 years, it started getting worse. Then during the World War, during the longer after World War II, it slacked off some. But the deer built up during that period. And the more deer, anybody want to kill a deer, you wouldn't have to drive, but just a little piece down the road, you see a deer and kill it. And they do the same thing now, but the deer not out there. You can drive miles and not see a deer now. As I noticed it, wanting to add another 15 days to the deer season. I think you better cut a month off of it.
Are there any places in the county where there's more violations than others, or hot spots, I guess you would say?
No, it was pretty well distributed. Naturally, back years when we had a lot of deer on the highways, there was more violations on the highways, on the state highways. Of course, they could drive better out there. And they could shoot a deer any time they want to. They were standing beside the road.
Y'all had much dealings with people with catfishing and violations with that on the river?
Catfishing. Well,
Illegal
they
fishing?
used,
I know it's a big industry, it used to be on the river around here.
yeah, we had a length on them, and they had legal and illegal boxes and nets and all that stuff we had to look at. And they had to have a commercial fishing license.
When did the hunting license come into effect? Did any of you know?
I believe in 1914, I believe.
I seen them in 1921, there was cards, not that long, not that wide. But they were, I see, I seen one in 1921.
I believe the department established in 1907 and first hunting license came about, I believe, in 1914.
That's many moons ago.
Any other questions? Or?
Well, do you have any estimate on how many, what the deer population presently is in the county? say how many, or is there any way to estimate it?
It's really no way
No
you
way
can
you
accurately tell, no ma'am.
You think that?
I feel like in the last 6 years, I say in the last 10 years, it's probably been going down.
Right.
And she,
But
why? do
Uh,
you think?
you've got a lot of increase in hunting. That's one big thing.
Illegal.
They've got different ways of managing things now, which I'm an enforcement officer, I have to enforce these laws that they establish, but some of these programs that they have now that I don't necessarily agree with. You know, you have a long doe season where they can kill does, you know, 10 days out of the year now. They can kill a doe and a buck those 10 days. And we have an archery season starting in October and it runs till the last day of January. We have probably the longest deer season in the nation.
I'd like to say something about what he's talking about. He ain't in a position to say something, but I am, but I don't work with Steve all the time. A 16-year-old young'un would know if you go out there and go killing your brood cows, what's gonna happen to your flock of cows. Some of these clubs get 125, 150 doe permits. And they'll kill probably 100 of them, 110, let them young'uns all shoot. And then I've been told pretty straight, what they lack. They got men working for them, they'll go down and let them ride to them plots till they kill that quarter out. Well, they're like, if they like 25, 30, or 40 of them, they can go down and kill them all night. They get all that quarter out. Well, you know your deer, well, a little old buck got nubs like that, Billy, I'll tell you, but Dave either, a little old buck like that got nubs. You kill him, well, you shoot him for a doe, well, that little deer would have been a spike or maybe a fork on him next year. Like that, well, you about to know. Is that right, Billy?
That's right. I know where it happened this year. Folks got disgusted at the club and they wanted to kill out some of the does that was there around the camp. So they decided to all get together and they had a shoot there and kill about 12, 15 one evening, and there was 8 of them, little button-head bucks like that. And it wasn't, they wasn't does.
I hope you don't show this film.
Charles.
But I'm gonna say something too now, it's just like Mr. Knight was saying, we've got what they call a DMP program, deer management program, where the biologists, if the Clinton Club decides they wanna get on this DMP program, they assign a biologist to it. Biologists to go through there 1 year, and they'll take weights and compare the weights to the ages. And, now this might work for 2 or 3 years, but this is the program they have now. And after about the second year, they'll go in there and issue them anywhere from 50 to 150 doe tags. And this is what's happening to our deer population. I feel like it's one of the biggest things. We have probably more deer killed that way than any illegal hunting we have. Baiting, of course, baiting's been going on for the last 20 years, I know, and it's probably gonna get worse.
That's what I've always been confused about why you let somebody bait something and then kill him.
Well, one thing about this thing, you know, the deer population here in Washington County has been probably the heaviest in the whole state of Alabama for years. And it's so much easier to go out there and pile a bunch of corn rather than kill one fast and go home.
That's laziness, that's not.
Right, and people like to feed them just for watching.
Yeah.
And you know, everybody's got a spotlight. I didn't know what a booger light was till I came to Washington County, and I've been working with the state for 15 years when I came over here. And everybody's got them. They pour corn under this booger light and get the deer to feed on the corn, and you can condition any animal to come to the light. I mean, this, you know, you can train anything to do anything. But what they've done, they've conditioned the deer population here in Washington County to where you can actually turn on a light out at night with nothing under it at all, and they'll come to that light.
Well, that's why they eat my flowers every
Right,
night.
right.
Oh,
And
like
it's
it
got them to
outside.
the point now where your deer won't graze and won't forage for the necessary food that keeps them healthy.
Well, I'm glad you told me that, because I intended to have my security light put out and see if that would stop.
It'll do it. I tried this, and it works.
It works.
Yeah, I quit. You can't feed the deer and enjoy watching the deer without hurting them really. Corn has got a real small protein content in it, mostly carbohydrates and stuff like that. It's not really good for, a little bit don't hurt.
But you can lead him to the jumping off.
That's right. You can just take him and lead him anywhere with a handful of corn. But this is one of the things that's happened to our deer population here. So many people are doing it, that it's just conditioned the deer. And what they'll do, they'll come up there and eat corn until they get full, and then they'll go back out there and lay down and wait for you to pour it out again. They won't go out and graze and get the necessary food that they need.
A lot of these boys got them lakes set up all over the county, or where they can raise up any time of the night. I
Right.
did look out the window, there ain't nothing I can do right back down. And there ain't no way you can sit there and see them we trying to catch it either.
We found them out in the woods miles from nowhere with a car battery and a 12-volt light bulb up in a tree. And they'll just come to the light.
I guess I'm a little bit old fashioned, but the way I feel about it, these food plots is just legal bait.
I agree with you.
They ought to be done away with.
Hunting,
They don't go hunting, they just go kill a
that's
deer.
right. It's got this point about like going out to pasture, you know, and picking out a little ear or something and shooting. It's, people are gotten lazy. You know, the hunting, what we call hunting nowadays is really not hunting.
Well, back, I was a school teacher for many years, and when I first began teaching, I enjoyed visiting with the kids about their hunting. But then it got to the point that we weren't even talking about the same thing.
Right.
I avoided even talking to them about it because, first of all, I was crazy. You know, the very idea of having any idea of going out and killing a nice buck or something like that. And they were telling about, they were killing the best deer,
Right.
and they were killing it over corn, and they were killing it at night, and they were proud of it.
I think really what is happening here, we've had a good game population for years and years. People don't know what it's like to not have it. And I guess if people here in Washington County or a whole southwest part of the state of Alabama had to go through a period where they didn't have anything to hunt, it would probably change. People would take care more of what they got. But as we're going now, I don't see how it can last like it's going now. We've got a thing in the legislature now, it comes up November 3rd for a referendum vote, to give the state the opportunity to buy lands where you can manage habitats and manage the deer also. Like it is now, we're trying to manage the deer and not being able to manage the habitat because we have no control over the timber management. But this will give us opportunity to buy lands and to manage the habitat and the deer. And this is one of the things probably 20 years down the road is going to be big.
You talk about not getting deer here now. Back when it was plenty deer here, I've caught a many a car out that night, had 2 or 3 deer, and trying to get them down.
Right. And it's really, I tell you, I believe, Billy, you probably agree too, but this happened probably in the last 6 years, since DMP program.
Yes, the deer did, but actually when the deer first started, the downturn was along in the, around 70s, around late 60s or 70s, when the deer first started going down.
You know, after that, we had 2 big rivers, 1960 and 61. And they drowned nearly all the deer in the river swamp. And that, from then on, they've been getting less.
And it's very few deer in lots of places now where there used to be were.
Another thing wrong with Washington County, I don't know whether we call it wrong or not, because we all want it. It's been set out in pine trees, and the ground is covered with dead pine straw, and deer can't live on dead pine straw. And can't anything else grow there, because they're that deep.
The thing about it now, it's changing so fast. Used to, you'd notice one generation to the next. Now, you can see it from year to year. And it's changing so fast, that I don't know what's going to happen probably in the next 10, 15 years. That's just like the ducks. 20 years ago, I worked down in Caldwell in that district down there a lot, and daylight skies were blackened with ducks. Now, you can go down there and work now, and you're lucky to see a duck. We're probably looking a few years down the road, we may not even have a duck season. things are changing so fast. I hope you don't keep up with it.
Why do you suppose those who make the laws are wanting to increase the number of deer that can be killed in such a situation?
He may not.
This, this thing here, I think, what Mr. Davis mentioned now, every year, we have different recommendations to go into what we call an advisory board, as Mr. Davis knows. Then out of this advisory board, it's kind of a little governing body that's appointed by the governor. They try to set the seasons and set the bag limits and so forth. This is just one of the, you might say, recommendations that they've made to it, which it hadn't been passed yet, and we hope to come. But right now, I feel like we have probably too long of a deer season now. You gotta figure your population growth, you get more hunters, and you're taking, more people are taking less game.
You ever had one of them Bobs tell you how he estimated it again? I didn't tell you sometimes.
I always said I counted the legs and then divided by 4, and I don't know.
That's the way they do it. They get up in the thousands. But honestly, them biology's got a lot to do with it. With this, where they mess it up.
We got too many balls.
I agree.
Yeah.
Did it?
We need 3 in the state, we got about 50.
Think about
And
it.
they all got to make a rosy report to the United States government.
They all,
That's the way to keep the job, is making a pretty report.
they
I
all,
work with them, I know them.
and they'll all give you a different opinion of all the same studies. I sure hope you don't.
Some of them good, and some of them.
Glenn, can you give us a idea of what kind of hours you work in for a game warden in a week? And
Well,
what
up
time
to-
of day and things?
I'd say up to the last 2 years, Mr. Davis and Billy, they'll all tell you that we just work can to can. It averaged sometime 80, 90 hours. And a lot of times you go 24 hours without sleep, a lot of times 36 too. That's right.
Are y'all paid by the hour?
Well, basically now our pay now is based on the hour, and we've been cut now down to 40 hours a week. And this law came into effect, I believe, in 1986, in which we kind of didn't pay any attention to it up until right later. And at this time, our department is involved in a lawsuit with the Labor Department, federal government, about us working too many hours. But it's something that all the officers, now and in the past, felt like they had to do in order to do our job. And we wouldn't be out there unless we, if we didn't enjoy it.
But I
Most of
think
you,
the wage in our law is good for some things, but it's not any help to the game.
No,
So the game warden can't do his work, only in 8 hours.
most of you work at night.
Well,
I'd say probably 50-50.
if you work one night, you're gonna work a little more than 8 hours.
Right.
I tell you what. Me and Billy Griffin sat 6 straight nights on the deal before we got him. We caught him on 6 straight nights. But,
I was called out one night down there on Highway 56. Is it 56 now? And I went 6 straight nights, all night long. I called 21 men shooting deer. And I called the game warden out of Clark County. Chet Noble was over there then. He come over there. He worked 3 nights. And I don't know how many he called, but he called some every night he was over there. I had to sleep some.
That's like a few years ago, about 3 years ago, you and I and John Traylor sat down here, 18 nights of October, we made 22 nights. It's just an every night thing. Depending on how the deer move.
Can y'all name some of the men that's been game wardens that's not here today?
Grady Gibbons.
How long was he a game warden, do you know?
27 years, I think. And,
He's from down in Tibby.
yes, John Bumpus over at Carter.
He was supposed to be here. How long was he a game warden?
He done about 3 years with me.
I don't remember how long he stayed on there, but long time, but he had some military
Yeah,
credit.
he's
I
on
believe.
up about 3 or 4 years military time.
And your brother, Robert Henson, used to help y'all some or
Well,
ride
he
with you?
liked it, yeah, he wanted to ride with the game over every chance he got. I tried to keep him from it, but I couldn't.
That was Reagan's too.
Oh.
There's no better.
Robert said Dave told him about Montgomery one time, he hadn't seen the moon rise. He didn't know how many years. Robert said, no, but I bet I've seen it set on there, man.
Are there any more questions? Y'all have any more stories, anything?
Oh, we could tell tales all night long, but it's not worth
It's 3 different times in 1 year. Always be one of them that could just talk enough to understand English. That's what you call. In other words, you don't know what they, you figure they got to talking, they were really talking about you, but you couldn't understand it.
I started to write a book, but I can put it all down in a few words. I mean, I can't fill in between like you do when you're writing a book. So I just never could get the book.
I guess one thing that I wish I had always done, the day I went to work, is bought me a good camera and wrote down everything I did every day, you know.
I got a pretty good record. I kept a daily log of it.
I keep my weekly reports and stuff like that, but little things that, especially.
Okay.
This picture is taken back about 1953, and this is when they first got uniforms, when the Conservation Department first got uniforms. This is Earl McGowan right here, he was director of the Conservation Department. This right here is Ben Griffith over in Clark County, that's W.A. Knight right there. This is Mr. Ed Ferris right up here, and a lot of them I don't know, and this is Mac Duffy, young fella here. And the rest of them, it's been so long, I just done forgot.
Frank Dickey there.
Frank Dickey is right here on the front. Now, this is Frank Dickey. He
And
used to
Grady's
help out-
right behind him, no?
And Grady Gibbons, right here, I forgot him. But the rest of them, I don't know,
Okay, and Chet Noble, is he in there?
Yeah. I know where he's at, right in front of your pencil.
Chet Noble, that's right. This is Chet Noble over in Clark County,
Okay, all right, the next one.
All right, this picture here was taken right here when they built this new courthouse over here. Must have been back in 1965, somewhere along in there. And this is John Bumpus and Mr. Dave Henson right here. This is Governor George Wallace. He was down there. And this is Grady Gibbons right here. This is W.A. Knight over there on the end, That was about 1965, roughly, right in there, Go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the next one here, this picture was taken in 1955 up on the Elk River, right up against the Tennessee line. A lot of these fellows I don't know but we was working up there on that river. This is Carlisle Suttles, used to be supervisor right here. And this gentleman here was from Macon County. I can't think of his name right offhand, but this is W.A. Knight right there. This is Ed Cooper right here, which later went with the Post Office Department. But the rest of them, I done forgot their names on them. Go to the next picture.
Okay.
This picture here is a little bluegrass band that I got that I'm proud of. We've been together last Friday was 5 years. And we was playing here in the United Dolphin Way Methodist Church in Mobile, which I'm proud to see an old country boy playing the church that big. It was on a Super Sunday. And I'm going to name him over here to the right. It's Harvey Taylor. This is W.A. Knight on the fiddle here. And Mr. Stanley McLeod, the lead singer, which he was just elected sheriff of Greene County, Mississippi. This is Randy McLeod on the bass. This is Wayne McGee from Leaksfield on the banjo. This is Brother Moore, our pastor. This is Rex Head right here, bass singer. That was about 2 years ago that was made.
Okay. Well, we appreciate coming and sharing these pictures with us and this information.